The night was electric. Under the bright lights, two men stood ready to etch their names deeper into boxing history. On one side, Anthony Joshua, the British powerhouse, standing tall, muscles carved from stone, carrying the weight of England's hope on his shoulders. On the other side, Oleksandr Usyk, the Ukrainian maestro, a former undisputed cruiserweight king, now daring to conquer the land of giants. The question lingered in every fan's mind. Could skill and movement topple raw size and power? From the opening bell, tension pulsed through the arena. Joshua pumped his jab, trying to establish dominance, his reach and power evident in every motion. But Usyk was no ordinary challenger. He circled, darted in and out, his southpaw stance confusing, his footwork mesmerizing. Every time Joshua stepped forward, Usyk slipped away, angling off and firing quick, sharp counters. The crowd gasped as Usyk's left hand snapped Joshua's head back in the very first round. It wasn't power, it wasn't power, it was precision. Joshua tried to respond with heavy artillery, throwing a thunderous right, but Usyk weaved, escaped, and tagged him again. The story of the fight was beginning to write itself. As the early rounds ticked by, Joshua looked composed, calculating, but there was a sense of unease. He was the bigger man, the stronger man, yet the smaller Ukrainian was dictating the rhythm. Usyk's eyes burned with focus, his movements smooth, almost effortless. Each punch told Joshua this would not be an easy night. The clash had begun, and it was already clear this was not going to be a typical heavyweight fight. It was speed versus power, brains versus brawn, a chess match in gloves. The storm was brewing, and both men knew it. By the middle rounds, Usyk was painting his masterpiece. His movement was poetry in motion, and his punches were brush strokes, carving frustration into Joshua's face. The Ukrainian southpaw refused to stand still. Circling, shifting, firing off quick jabs and straight lefts that pierced through Joshua's guard. Joshua tried to adjust, stepping in with authority, unleashing heavy shots to the body. The crowd roared each time his gloves thudded against Usyk's ribs. It looked like the champion was turning the tide. But Usyk answered back instantly, snapping Joshua's head with clean combinations, making the bigger man stumble backward. The suspense grew. Fans who expected Joshua's dominance were watching a different reality unfold. Usyk wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. His relentless pace forced Joshua to second guess, to hesitate. Each time Joshua set, Usyk broke his rhythm with a sharp feint or a perfectly timed punch. Joshua landed some clean shots, enough to keep the threat alive, but Usyk absorbed them, gritted his teeth, and pushed forward. He wasn't backing down. He wasn't intimidated. The smaller man was outboxing the bigger man. By the end of these rounds, murmurs spread through the crowd. Something extraordinary was happening. The challenger wasn't fading. He was growing stronger. His eyes never blinked. His confidence never wavered. And Joshua, the once unstoppable machine, was beginning to look uncertain. This was not just a fight anymore. It was a masterclass unfolding. one that could shock the entire heavyweight division. The middle to late rounds became a test of willpower. Anthony Joshua, knowing the fight was slipping, dug deep, summoning the pride of a champion. He began targeting Usyk's body with ferocity, pounding hooks to the ribs, hoping to drain the smaller man's stamina. The crowd erupted as Joshua pinned Usyk briefly, firing heavy artillery that shook the ring. For the first time, it looked like Joshua might break through, but Usyk refused to fold. Instead of retreating, he charged forward, throwing blistering flurries that sent Joshua backpedaling. The smaller man pushed the bigger champion onto the ropes, landing clean headshots in rapid succession. The arena roared in disbelief. Usyk wasn't just surviving, he was taking control. Joshua tried to rally, swinging with desperation, but Usyk's footwork made him chase shadows. Whenever Joshua thought he cornered him, Usyk spun out, landing crisp counters. His engine didn't slow down. His confidence only grew. Each round became a high-stakes exchange. Joshua would land a punishing body shot, and Usyk would answer with 3-punch combinations upstairs. The suspense gripped every fan. Could Joshua land the knockout blow, or was he being systematically dismantled? By the 9th and 10th rounds, Joshua's face told the story. The swelling, the fatigue, the heavy breathing. It all revealed the toll Usyk's pace had taken. Meanwhile, Usyk still looked sharp, darting in with precise left hands, smiling as if he was enjoying the chaos. The crowd, once certain of a Joshua victory, was now split, the energy electric with uncertainty. Joshua's power was always a single punch away from changing everything. But Usyk's relentless fire and skill were rewriting the script. The storm was reaching its peak, and both men braced for the championship rounds, where legacies would be decided. The championship rounds arrived, and with them the climax of this epic battle. Usyk smelled victory, and his pace only intensified. He unleashed a barrage of punches, his gloves finding Joshua's face and body with alarming consistency. The heavyweight champion, known for his knockout power, now looked like a man caught in a whirlwind he couldn't escape. Joshua tried to rally, summoning one last stand. The crowd urged him on, chanting, willing him to find that one big punch. He landed a few hard shots, jolting Usyk, but the Ukrainian refused to break. Instead, Usyk answered with furious combinations that rocked Joshua, forcing him backward, step by step. The 11th round saw Usyk dominate, his left hand crashing through Joshua's guard again and again. By the 12th, Usyk was relentless, pouring everything into his attack, nearly stopping Joshua as the final seconds ticked away. The bell rang, and the challenger raised his arms high, confident he had conquered the giant. The arena was tense as the judges' scorecards were read. Unanimous decision, Oleksandr Usyk. The Ukrainian had shocked the world, dethroning the champion with a performance of pure brilliance. Joshua stood humbled, exhausted, knowing he had been outboxed by a man many underestimated. Usyk, meanwhile, embraced his team, tears in his eyes, as the Ukrainian flag waved proudly. He had not only won a belt, he had made history. This night was more than a fight. It was a reminder that boxing is not only about size and power, but about skill, intelligence, and heart. Oleksandr Usyk had written his masterpiece, and the heavyweight division would never be the same again. A night of suspense, courage, and history. Boxing at its very best.